Welcome to FCC Supporter Square, the show for fans, by fans, and about fans. Here's your host, Mark Suffin and Matt Warman. Hey, it's that time again. That show, the thing with the football and the soccer and the thing. That's me. It's FCC Supporter Square. I'm your host, Matt Warman. Sadly, Mark Suffin, we had an incident last on last week's podcast. He made the heart signal to all the outpouring of his fans and friends, and he got a 2 game suspension. We have appealed the suspension, but sadly he is out this week for giving the heart. I can't really do that because I might get a suspension too. But you know what I'm talking about. But if I put them together, I would get a 2 game suspension. So I can't do that. So anyhow, welcome. It is just me, and I do have a guest this week. This week it is Greg Hall. Say hi, Greg.
Hello, folks. Hello, Matt.
Hey, it was a wild eclipse week. That was the frenzy. I went out to Amish country and got eclipse burned and saw totality. So it's changed my life apparently. Um, apparently we're still here.
And,
So some people were saying that was going to happen, but
and I'm jealous because I wanted to go. My wife actually got to see it. And in fact, she was at the 2017 eclipse down in Tennessee, and it was so actually impactful on her life that she decided that she was going to miss another one. I got stuck here, so I got the 99.4. Y'all got the 100. So congratulations. I'm sure it was absolutely amazing.
my wife was down in Nashville as well for that one, so I think
There you go.
it's becoming a thing. But we're not about astronomy here. We're about soccer and specifically FC Cincinnati. Sadly, we lost 2-1 to the Red Bulls. Um, it's our first loss the season. We didn't lose last season until much later. We're a work in progress. These days are going to happen, but why did it have to be Frankie? What are your
I
thoughts about
know.
the game?
Well, first of all, it was a tough Saturday for sure, especially the way we started with that sweet pass by Lucho over to Kubo in the back of the net. I was feeling like, okay, momentum is there. Like we're gonna put the pedal on them and keep the pedal on them. But unfortunately, Frankie had other ideas, and it was an unfortunate way to switch the momentum back. And honestly, we never really saw the momentum again. Red Bull had us, in our own third a lot of the night. It was tough to see, us try to figure out how to play against their new press, different than the press that they had last year. So tough, yeah, tough night for sure, Matt.
It certainly looked a little disjointed in the midfield. It looked like, we were getting a little frustrated, and I've seen this pattern is that when we can't break a press, or the pass just isn't there, then we just go long. I don't
Yeah,
like
I
that.
know. And well, I mean, Tiny. So I graciously refer to Lucho as Tiny, Tiny Dancer, because when Lucho came to the club early days, he really liked the ball at his feet, and it looked like he was doing a lot of dancing. So Matt and I share the same section, and so if you ever hear over in the corner people yelling at Tiny or addressing Tiny, then we're really affectionately talking about Lucho. So.
Which is hilarious because we have our own height issue, don't we?
We do. We absolutely, and people don't know this because here we are sitting down, right? Both of us are definitely the tallest guys, at least in our section. I'm probably the tallest guy maybe in the stadium any given week, but certainly we own the height, and A day that you and I could have a picture with Lucho would be a great day. And
Have him in the middle. He look
yes,
like we
for
have
sure.
bodyguards or something. That'd be
That's
hilarious. I
right.
love that.
That's right.
Yeah, so the first half, was 1-0. I thought Evan Laura could have done a better job on that first goal that Frankie scored. It was a good goal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going
He
to
was
take
a little
it away
slow
from
off
him.
off his feet for
Yeah.
sure. I
I,
mean, look, he's Evan is learning, right? It's got to be tough for him to replace Roman and then have to do it against the Red Bulls. And every time Frankie comes to Cincinnati, he's got one thing on his mind. That's putting the ball in the back of the net, and he was hunting all match.
and that's, we've given him motivation. I know that we were saying um, some F related words to him, and then he scored and said
We
some F related words to us. So and it's
I'm sure you saw the picture that the MLS posted along with the power rankings, and it's actually Frankie flipping our fans off, which was fantastic. You gotta love that. Gotta love that.
so yeah, so that's what we've got. We've got some work to do. So I'd really like to put that game behind us.
You
Uh,
need to. Yes, let's do that.
I think uh, I think we have an opportunity this Saturday to change things like last year. This year we seem to be a much better. I mean, we did have a very long unbeaten streak, don't get me wrong, but we seem to be a stronger road team than home team at times, particularly on the second half of the season last year. It
Definitely
was
agree.
like we would struggle for a tie and then have this kind of quasi must win road game and just, blow them out 2-0, 3-0, or just, just look really good and tight, even if it is a one goal win. But it seemed like we're a much better road. It's more of a us against the world type of mentality. I think this team thrives on that kind of piece. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Montreal match?
I think what needs to happen is I think our forwards need to get out of their own heads and um, stop being frustrated with the run of play and put some balls in the back of the net. That's what I think needs to happen out there. If we can get Boop dialed in and figure out what we're going to do on the other side of the field, I thought Kubo was an interesting play. I want Corey Baird to really get started. He's definitely has a case of the net yips so far this season. So seeing Boop and Corey, hopefully Corey does go back to starting again. I think, like I said, it was a good experience with Kubo, but we need to have two strong forwards out there. That's our system, and toying with that part of our third when we know that we're just not hitting on all cylinders, it has been tough. So us going up there at Montreal and putting it all together in the front third will be a really good thing for us, and that could set us up to really turn it over.
I've been saying all year that we're going to have one of these games where everything just goes in, and hopefully it's the Montreal. It would not come at a better time than to have a 3 or 4 goal flurry where things just kind of go in and then everybody can settle down. Having not played in the MLS level, but at any level, if you played at any kind of soccer on any kind of league, if you're an offensive player, I was an offensive player. Um,
As was I. I
when
played. I was a winger,
yeah,
so
that's where
yeah,
they put the tall guys. Is I on the
that's right. But I
so
did end up at center back. At the end of the day, I was a center back running people down. That was my job.
I ended up being a nine, which is weird. That's not really my forte, but it's kind of a false nine, I guess. But when you're on and all you have to do is get a couple of touches in, you get a sense of the game, and you put a goal in, you're like, okay, I've got it. Once your confidence is riding high, it's good. But then if you go miss a couple of easy shots, and then the next game you come in and you miss a shot that maybe is a little tougher, but you thought you should have had it. Then you start getting in your own head. I think that's where these guys are. I think they're pressing. I think you're
I
right.
agree.
I think they need to reset, put the ball in the back of the net, particularly for Corey. I think Corey has missed 6 or 8, goals. Not all of them were easy. Headers, half volleys. He's put the ball kind of on frame. I think what they did, then stop shooting at the goalkeeper. Try to put it a little bit inside the post.
That's that's always a good plan.
That seems
That's
like whenever
always a
they
good
have a
plan.
good shot, it's either too low at the keeper, or I don't see them trying to be too cheeky or trying to golazo or anything. It's just that I think they get in their head so much of where they're going to try to put it that they just hit it dead center, and that's not the best piece of business to do. That's
I thought,
Go
just
ahead.
quickly back to this week, I thought Oriano had a couple really good shots. Oriano, I'm not sure which way we're going still with
Nobody
that.
knows yet.
I've always, I took a little Spanish in high school, and I always thought that the two L's was a Y, so I've gone with the Oriano. I've heard Orishano. That'll all shake itself out. But anyway, I thought that he had a couple really good shots on frame, one off the crossbar. One just over the top. I actually thought that that second one went in, but it was just a little off. So I feel like he's getting his Barrial mojo in, and if if the midfield can figure out that flow from the back third to the forwards, and really lock that down, with Oriana playing the way that he is, and Yedlin just owning the right side of the field. There's just a lot of things. We're just not quite, but if we can put all the pieces together, fantastic.
I've forgotten all about those shots from Luca. That's the best way to get around it. Is just say Luca,
Yeah,
Luca, and Luca.
you're right.
Yeah, so that was like reminding me of the first year. People forget Barriel his first year. He had moments of brilliance and then
Yeah,
kind of go away for a while and then have another moment of brilliance. It wasn't until Lucho kind of showed up and they kind of played off of each other and
yeah,
got some time together. Then it was like Batman and Robin, right? Or
totally
Batman and
agree.
Batman, really, because they both could do some really interesting things. So a lot of people are like, "Well, I wish we had Barrial." And the nature of this business of our league, it's not the top league, so this is going to happen.
It is.
I think we've got Barrial in training, and
We,
he's going to dial this in. He's a younger, uh, close. Maybe later this season, summertime, maybe he picks it up. But you're right. I've seen him make several really decent passes. There was that one pass where he threaded the needle to Boop, who just missed the
yes,
shot. It just put it right to the keeper.
right.
So he's going to be doing some things. I didn't know what to think about the Yedlin. I wasn't sure the first time we were going after Yedlin that I'd be interested. I'm 100% behind that dude. He seems like he's a happy. He's like I said. I'll say it every week. He's behind all the Miami circus. He doesn't have to deal with any of that nonsense. He's probably looking at that team and going, "I am so glad I got out when I did," because
Oh
he's
my God, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, you got to know that the politics, especially for DeAndre Yedlin, who, he's a senior member of the U.S. men's national team, and has had so many caps and played so well at the international level. Really was truly the captain of the Miami team, and to have that all turned on its ear when Messi shows up. I'm sure he coming to Cincinnati and, beyond, like you said, to leave that all behind has been a really good thing for him. And we see it week in, week out. I mean, he plays with his heart. He plays with, everything he's got. He leaves nothing on the pitch, by the time the 90 clicks off. So, I agree, dude. It's been great to have him. He's really filled a needed spot that we've had, and especially in this system with the wingbacks being so important, for our success.
we may yet still get that U-22 striker from Dunst. That still may come to be, and maybe that helps, maybe that doesn't. Um, but I feel like we have the parts. I feel like we may not win the supporter shield this year, which is would not be the best thing, but it's not the worst thing either. But I have the sense that we're playing for December, right? We're not in December shape, and of course it's early April,
That's right.
so there's lots of time to do that. But I feel like we're trying some things. That's why I think Kubo is in there. That give Kubo a try. Let's see what happens against this team. How can these players respond against this? It seems like we're beginning to build up some subs, so it's at some point somebody's gonna have to sub in for Lucho,
Yes, right.
because we don't want to have a tired Lucho come playoff times. But I feel like,
Or injured for that matter. That
yeah,
would be even worse.
that we're just playing around this part of the season. We're not worried about. I think last year, because we made the playoffs and we won a game and we wanted to be impressive, we really got off early, and that team was well, even though we lost Brenner, was basically the same team as the year before. So there wasn't much.
Absolutely.
Everybody knew what was expected. And even with Brandon not having a great season, we got off to a great start. Now we've got a whole bunch of new pieces. I think Noon is just trying to subtly change. He's playing within his system, but I think he's subtly changing parts of his system, seeing what players do what in what situations. I think he feels like, unlike last year, he has some time to experiment. The fans are going to definitely give him a bunch of rope. He knows what he's doing. I don't
He
think
definitely
anybody's
does. And
going to
he's,
say noon and out. Nobody's going to be saying that. But I think he's tweaking it, and I think by mid-season, they'll make a run, and then like Columbus last year. Columbus last year was not very good the first half of the season. They got slowly better and better and better, and then I hate that team, but they did get an extra star, and I think we're kind of taking a page out of their playbook and trying to figure out in certain situations who's going to be what, doing where. I think we're going to be fine. It's just frustrating that we have this great team. It's just not living up to everybody's potential.
well, I mean, so you're a soccer player. You understand this, that soccer it's not like American football. It is not like baseball, whereas you're essentially building set plays up and then running them. It is fluid, and the word system in soccer, I think, means so much more because it's truly a living, breathing system. And when all the pieces on the pitch are not connected well together, and they're not making those final touches, their triangles aren't right. They're not seeing space in the same way because you've got new pieces on the field that are trying to learn how each other is going to play in the run of play. The run of play is such a dynamic thing, and Cincinnati is just trying to like figure that out. I think the midfield is different now. The strikers with Lucho are trying to figure out how to play their touches together. It takes time, and I think to your point, Pat Noonan gets that, and he's trying different things, but he knows how to build a culture for a system, and and Pat I trust. He's proved himself the last couple of years.
Just stay tight, people. Just stay tight. We're all going through. If you think this is a rough patch, and we're in fourth place, uh, that if that's the rough patch, I'll take it.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
a quick little turn before we get to your interview. Uh, my one of my other least favorite teams, Inter Miami, lost 3-0 to our old friend Brandon Vasquez and his new team. What are your thoughts on that? Did you watch it? Where do you think about that?
So I've been trying to keep up with Champions Cup. I did not catch that final leg of the Miami Monterey match, but I did see some highlights. And Brandon. is obviously in a place that he loves. He showed us when he came here to Cincinnati. Always love to see Miami, especially on home turf, go down, or away. I don't care. It's fun to see how a team from Mexico, with the power that they have, can show Miami that they're not as good as they think they are.
And I think that bodes well for the rest of the East because everybody's thinking that these guys were going to mow through everybody. That's not going to happen.
Well, Messi's already hurt again, so we'll see how many actual starts that he gets as we get deep into the summer. I mean, it's a hard season in the MLS. These guys come over here and they think they're gonna drink lemonade and hang out and go play 90. It's a tough go. That they take soccer seriously here in the MLS, and the people they go up against will bang on them for 90 minutes, and they feel it. So these old guys think that they're going to come over here and just run around and have a good old time. I think they realize after a while it's a tough go, and it's a long season.
It's not necessarily the best for World Cup soccer, but CONCACAF is a league because we have a lot of small countries where it's a very physical league. CONCACAF is a very physical league. Whether it's debatable on how good the soccer is, but it's like that. And MLS is emblematic of all of the CONCACAF. It's a banger league. And they're used to being over at Serie A and being messy and going. You get touched. Suddenly there's flags called or
Right.
cards flying at midfield whenever he got touched, even though it was a 50-50 ball, right? He's not getting those calls. He's getting some of those calls, but he's not getting enough of those calls. He's getting banged on all the time. So
That's right. That's right.
that's to your point is that they're not used to the rough and tumble league that is MLS and CONCACAF.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So with that, it's time for an interview. This is my best part. This is why I do this. Some people I know, some people I don't know, but I do know you only through our Saturdays.
That's right.
It's hard not to miss you. What is your actual height?
6'9"
6'9". I am
in
six
bare
four.
feet. 6'9" in bare feet, right? So, anytime we're wearing shoes, we're gonna raise that up a little bit.
I'm 6'4", and still I still look up to you. So tell me, how did you get involved in FC Cincinnati? It sounds to me like you were like many of us in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, a soccer player who
That's right.
now finally found something.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I grew up playing soccer. I started playing when I was 5. My dad was my coach, and who knew nothing about soccer at all. In fact, he learned about soccer by reading a book, and he became a say soccer coach, and then actually coached select soccer when we were teenagers. I'm the oldest of 3, so he after I went into high school, and he dropped down and coached my brother, and then again my sister. So I spent a lot of time in that. And my parents, didn't really understand the game at all, but we were a World Cup soccer family. So when the World Cup was on, we were watching it together. So soccer is part of the fabric of my life. It has been since I was a kid. I have 2 girls. I coached them when they were in say. They went on to go do other things. That soccer was never going to be their thing. But so here I am. It's 2015, and I'm sitting at my desk at work, and I hear this thing that a club is starting back up, and you can put down $50 for a deposit to get season tickets. So I was like, that sounds like a good deal. I'm gonna do that. And I told my wife the next day. She's like, "You did what? Are you okay?" So I said, "Listen, let's find out where how the season tickets are going to go. They're going to call me, and I'm going to get to make a choice." So, I ended up sitting in section 341 in the club. So Walker was my guy, and he's like, "Just tell me about yourself." I said, "Well, first of all, I'm 6'9", so people don't want to sit behind me, and I like to stand. He said, "Well, I got the perfect spot for you, up against the glass in section 341. Your wife can come, and it's undercover. You don't have to worry about any of the elements or anything like that at Nippert." And I said, "That sounds great." Well, it turns out that the guy sitting next to me, do you know Matthew Long? Matthew
Yes.
is
Yes.
season ticket
Ticket
holder
holder
number
number
one.
one. Yeah.
Right, right. So that's my guy sitting next to me for the whole run for an effort. And obviously we had so many great experiences in the USL. Us beating those guys up north at home, and then doing the same thing in Chicago Fire. I mean, the epic moments in the early infancy of this club. And then when we had the opportunity to go to the MLS, obviously we were jumping in. So end up in E5, and I know I saw you at Nippert a number of times, but us being together at the First Financial Club and seeing each other in our same section has just been fantastic. So there you go. There's the scoop.
There you go. So yeah, so I was a day one ticket holder. I have a very similar story. I mean, I don't tell it very often, but uh, uh, I was at the same thing. I heard that there's a club coming, and they said, "Oh, it's $50," and I immediately called my wife. The press conference is still going on. I'm like, hey, there are season tickets to a new soccer team. Do you want to do this? And I thought this would be, honey, come home, we'll talk about it. She goes, yeah, sure. And I went, okay, goodbye, and then put it down. So now I'm like 44 or something like that.
I
So
actually I don't know my number. I have no idea where I am. I have always wanted to find out where I sit in the original pecking
you're in
order.
you're in the you're in the good zone. Anything
I
you're less
would
than
I
a
would
thousand.
think so. I would think
I
so.
think there was
Well,
additionally only 44,000 season tickets for at day one, at game one. As the games went on, more and more people got season tickets throughout that first season.
so what I find funny, so I think we're about the same age. I turned 55 in July. So people that got season tickets didn't that don't understand where you want to sit at a match, that were trying to find places down low.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking, guys, that's not, you can't see anything down there. You got to sit back so you can
uh,
see the run of play. Come on,
you know,
folks.
you know, you know what I'm going to say then, right? Because I knew I went to, they had a special in 2015, in October of 2015. They had a special for people who've already bought their season tickets to go pick out your seat. All right, so I spent $50 in merch for the first time. I had a scarf and whatnot.
Yeah,
Midfield, dead nuts, center line,
right.
25 rows up. I ended up being, I think, row 27 or 28, but
So were
dead
you,
nuts.
so you're 340, you were 340, right?
123.
Oh, you're on the other side. You're on
I
the other
was
side.
I was on the west side, but not in not
Yes.
in not in the club seats, but down
You
near
were
the
down
top.
below me. You were down below.
Yes, I was literally below you.
That's where I saw you. That's right. Because when I would come in, I know I saw you walking through through the main area before we went up. Yes, 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 yes.
I would join up with the Bailey and do the march, get gathered, go through the Bailey, and as everybody's going down to the Bailey, I would just continue on and then go to the right. That's how we did it in the old school days.
Now I love the Clifton vibe. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a close knit community, but the way that they've done it at TQL, where there's all the different supporter groups. We hang out at the Symphony, by the way. We're with Norden.
Okay,
I'm not
so
a
you
Norden. I'm not officially Norden, but we hang out with the Norden folks at Symphony. I just love that vibe there. It's super cool. And I know you're just down the street at Sam Adams, right?
that is correct.
Yeah, that's right.
We
Um,
are now we're now brigaders. So Matt Long is a brigader or was a
yes, he
brigader.
is. Yes, he
And
is. Yes, he
so
is.
so we're all one big happy family. I'm telling you what, Sam Adams is really nice. If you get a chance to come by, um,
We should. We need to shake it up a little bit. Would you let us in
so
the door?
that actually dovetails into, so I think I've picked a date for April 27th, our next home game. So we have
Okay.
two road games this Saturday and the following Saturday. are road games, but the 27th is a home match. I am going to do the filming of No and SG Bar. So I'm
Love
going to
it.
start. We're going to start at about probably around 4 o'clock at Stillhouse. I need a members of Norton, or maybe that's you. I'm DI, Pride, Fifth Line, who I know will they'll just do it. I know them. And myself for the brigade. We're going to go from Stillhouse to Northern Row to Holiday Spirits to Sam Adams, and then finally Symphony.
So are you doing this all in one
All in one
pregame?
go. So it's kind of a pregame.
Whew.
Yeah, it's a pregame pub crawl. We'll see how the last couple of bars look. So
Right.
you got to pace yourself, and we are
Because
walking. So
Symphony is last, is it not? I mean,
yes,
and Norton
yes,
is the last stop. Yeah.
yes. So that'll give us time to either, if you want to get back to the march or Corteo at Washington Park, we'll figure all that out. But that should
Sounds like
be
a good plan.
it.
Sounds like a
It
good
sounds
plan.
like it.
I know some of the Nord guys too. So if you want to make it if you want to make it technically Norden, then I'm sure we could work that out too, man, for sure.
There you go. Yeah, I think so. I think well, it's good. It should be an epic time.
Sounds
So,
fun.
so I'm throwing out the date. So now I need volunteers to come join me, and uh, we're gonna have some beverages. We're gonna learn about some bars. We're gonna do some walking. It'll be a good time.
Sounds like a good time for sure. It's a great idea. I love it.
I like to threaten people with good times.
There you
That's
go.
my MO. So where are you gonna watch this Saturday?
I'll be here. If I'm traveling, I'm watching it. If I'm home, I'm sitting on the couch watching. So I'll be parked in front of the TV, volume up, and yelling at it. Unfortunately, for my neighbors and my family.
You're not the first person on this show that has admitted or had a spouse admit to their husband yelling at the TV. I don't know
Yes,
a man who doesn't yell at the TV. To be honest, I know that my kids always went, "What are you doing in there?" It's like we
it's
thought
an
you were hurt or
affliction. I
something.
think it's an affliction.
Uh,
Right.
so there's that. It's been such a pleasure having you here, um, having to talk about old times
Thanks for having me.
and
It's
making
been great.
some new times. By the way, I will be turning 60 in about 5 weeks. So
Oh,
my birthday is actually there is a home match on my birthday. There'll be
well, then
the
I'll buy you
Atlanta
a
match.
beer. I'll buy you a beer while we're there.
Yeah, I'm
I'll see you
afraid
then
I'm
first
afraid
financial.
you're going to be like the first of like 2 dozen who are trying to get me to have a beer.
That's entirely possible,
I
man. That's
may or may not work on Thursday. Let's just put it that way.
I would plan on that day off. That's
Yeah,
probably a
I
good
think
idea.
I thought the closer it gets, the more I'm going. Yeah, Thursday's going to be a work from home day.
Yes, yes. Good call, sir. Good call.
Yeah, very much so. But thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
It is always nice to have the old school guys every now and then come in here and talk about. I can't believe that we've been around long enough to say the old days.
I know. I know. It's good to hang with some OG though, for sure. And you're definitely OG. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for watching, listening, and yelling at your TV or device or radio or whatever it is that you're listening to or watching us, saying all the things that we do wrong and all the bad takes that we have. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week here on FCC Supporter Square. Thank you for listening to FCC Supporter Square. Your hosts are Mark Shupin and Matt Warner. If you'd like to be a guest, please contact us at fcc.supp.square@gmail.com. The intro song was Living Inside My Brain by the Stone Buttons. The exit song was Awesome Sauce, also by the Stone Buttons. Thank you for listening.